Well, good morning, folks. Welcome back to the farm. It's a beautiful morning here this morning. Just got out of the shower. That's why the hair is everywhere. About to head off to work, so I mixed up some milk for the bottle lambs. We've only got, I say 2.5 right now. 2 that we're feeding religiously, 1 that we're just kind of topping up. But the grass is turning the right color, as you can see. Not quite picking up. It's just working on turning the right color for now, and fingers crossed we're going to get a little bit more rain and it's going to grow here right away. Anyways, we got 1 bottle lamb just hightailing it across the field there. There we are. I think Elsie's probably going to say good morning here soon. We got the donkey and the little horse in the round pen. They were getting a little fat out in the field. We're going to relocate them to some smaller, less flourishing pasture so nobody gets a sore foot. Last night I was out here and it was so doggone windy, I stepped in behind the barn there just to get out of the breeze. And but it was also a warm day. And the mosquitoes behind the barn, it was crazy because they were just sheltered from the wind, right? So I was like, well, I'm not having that. We've had drought for 3 years, even though we live, like you can see the lake right there. We live not far from a lake. Even with the drought for the last 3 years, there hadn't been much mosquitoes at all. So I was really surprised to see mosquitoes this early in the year, and big. So I just looked down at my arm and I was like, hey buddy, have you ever taken a helicopter ride with the door open? And I just stepped out into the wind and away they went. So enough of that nonsense. I guess there is one benefit to living on a hillside where it's windy all the time. Oh, looks like the second bottle of lamb's caught up here. Look at this. 100 miles an hour. It is hot today. In fact, if it were the middle of summer, I would still tell you that it was hot today. 29 degrees. Like, whew, cooking for a skinny fat guy. That's a hot day. Anyways, it's just me here today. I feel like I should probably know where my wife and kids are, but they're out at the in-laws doing something. I can't remember what it was, but the wife said she was going out there, and I said, okay, like, do you want me to come out, or like, what are you asking me? She's like, well, if you want to. And I'm like, it's not that I don't want to, but there are a couple things I got to take care of here tonight. So one of the big bale feeders, we got 2 bale feeders from a fella in Little Smoky. I put one of them in the lambing pen south of the barn. The second one's just sitting there tying up yard space in front of the barn. So I'm going to grab that with Aunt Jemima here, and we'll get it out into the paddock in behind the barn, because I've got 2 round bales left, and maybe that's going to be enough to get me by. I'm not sure. We're going to see where that goes. The grass is coming. Well, all depends on Mother Nature at this point. But anyways, I'll get that feeder out there. They got a little bit of a bale left in the field that they've just been free grazing on. I'm going to get that dumped into the feeder, and then I'll put a fresh bale on top of that. Force them to clean up a little bit before they get to the fresh stuff. I got them all locked in the barn right now. That's kind of my MO, really, is because if I open that gate, I just got just an inappropriate amount of sheep all over the lawn. So I lock them in the barn. I could lock them south of the barn, but I lock them in the barn, and it's hot. Like, you think it's hot outside right now? It is a blue collar sauna in there right now. It is literally like if you just went into the porta potty at work on a day like today, that's how hot it is in there. So I'm not going to keep them penned up for too long. I'll get the tractor fired up, get that bale out there, and then get them back out to enjoy the day. I also just, unfortunately, this is the dark side of farming. You know, as I say, that saying where you're going to have livestock, you're going to have dead stock, and sometimes that dead stock has to come at your own hand. Sometimes you have to euthanize an animal. And so, unfortunately, you just had to euthanize one of our lambs. It was born middle of March, and it's had like a weird, like a hernia on its belly. It's just been getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And of course the lamb is not getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's just big enough to barely sustain life, and its quality of life, you can tell, is probably impacted. And so anyways, euthanized it, cut it open to have a look at what's going on, and yeah, its intestines are completely outside of the abdominal cavity and just in the outer wall between that and the outer layer of skin, essentially. So I never had that before with a lamb. I'm not sure if that comes as a result of hard birthing or what causes that. But anyways, unfortunate outcome. Nevertheless, sometimes that stuff is a necessity. All right, got my bale out there into the field now. Doing that, you got to get in and out of the tractor a couple times, cut strings and all that jazz. Well, I'm a modern problems requires modern solutions kind of guy. And well, the old Deutz tractor that we had here from the in-laws, we've been using for years until before I bought this one, had a spot right here, back 3-point hitch and everything. You can just shove your twine, shove your net wrap, and it would just sit there. And it worked perfect. But this one doesn't have a 3-point hitch. It's just got the PTO and the drawbar and the hydraulic banks. So if I leave something like that on there, it's probably just going to end up splayed across the field. Well, what I'm thinking of doing, I got a whole stack of these milk crates from the loop load this last week. So I think I'm going to just, right there, run a ratchet strap across that bad boy. And I can put my net, my twines, everything in there until I'm done. And when I get back to the shop here and I park it in the shop, I can reach in, toss that in the burning barrel. Because it's always the struggle. Do I throw it in the grapple? Well, rarely is it the case that when I'm done unloading the bale, I'm actually done with the grapple. I usually go and, scoop some poop or whatever out of the corrals or something like that, or haul something over to the garden or whatever, right? I'm still using the grapple, it's still in use, and so I can't dump it because I'm going to end up dumping a whole mess of string. So I'll rig this up here, and fingers crossed that works amazing. Heck yeah, look at that. 3 wraps of the ratchet strap. So much room for activities. Put my lunch in there if I wanted. Probably get covered in hydraulic oil, but wouldn't fall out. Anyways, we're just over here at the chicken village. The chicken village consists of 2 chicken coops, one big one that our laying hens are in, and one little one that our not yet laying hens are in. And also what's going to be where our turkey chicks are going to go. Now we use this as a brooder, but it's still 8x8. It's quite large for a brooder. Well, we got into there out of our hatch with, I think, 14 or 15 chicks or something like that. So a lot of space in there. So you end up making a corner in there with some plywood. We've tried to use, who hasn't tried to use a cardboard box or a Rubbermaid tote or something like that. What I did is I went down to the field. We got one of these, well, it's a little giant, but it's a little giant. Big old water trough here that we had down in the field. And I don't know if the sheep climbed into it or what, but it's got a big giant crack in it, and it won't hold water. I've tried a few times to silicone these things. Once they got a crack in them, it seems you can silicone them or glue them or whatever, but the animals put pressure on it and it's just going to crack and leak again. So I'm going to write this one off. But I mean, that's fantastic. That's just prime real estate for some chickens, baby chicks, baby turkeys to go in there and stay safe, stay warm. I think it's a fantastic option. This big old shack, that's what we got rigged up just in the corner, and the little chickie poos can hide out in there. We had obviously a vast selection of heat lamps because the first batch of chicks we had come in, I think it was like February or March or something like that we had, somebody else hatched them out for us. We brought them in, put them in here, and so I even had space heater running and that just to keep everybody triple happy teddy bears. But it's toasty in here today. I think I might actually crack a window here just to let some, not create a draft, but just create some airflow, some ventilation, so everybody can breathe. Nobody suffocates from this heat.